Welcome! Hello ladies and gentlemen, Don Spector here to the next entry in the audio lexicon series, in which I try to explain to the best of my knowledge and my research to give you a brief overview on what specific audio vocabulary actually means. Hopefully also easy to understand and pictorial, so you can actually follow along. And today we are taking a closer look at imaging, or where stuff is. And first, we need to talk about some general things. In short, imaging is a term that describes the capability of a transducer to reproduce spatial cues available in an electrical signal. So that sounds pretty complicated for now, because I always try to give you a kind of, relatively broad definition. But later on, I'm using a two-view system to just, show you a bit better what this actually means. So first, spatial, right? What does this actually contain or mean in this context? So while spatial in a mathematical sense can be many things, it's basically just also again like a quotes a position. It can be a position in space, it can be a position in time, it can be a position in 2 dimensions, in 3 dimensions, in 4, in 5, whatever. In this context, spatial refers to you perceiving an audio cue being in a room somewhere around you. For example, I've taken a small picture of an ear here, and we are using this and then two views. One that is actually the horizontal view, and one that's the vertical view, or one from the side and one from the top. So you always have a kind of 3D aspect of where stuff would be or where you would expect them. So in this simple example with the ear here, we assume any signal, like it could be again the clong from the last episode or something like that, that appears somewhere in the room. And easiest, obviously, but basically every transducer, even the worst one can do, is basically being in the middle or the height of your ear. So that's relatively easy to do, right? And that is the simplest form of imaging. But more difficult would be, what happens if we actually move this audio cue somewhere up or down? Or even more difficult, we move it up and down, but also forth and back. And hence, this is how imaging works, or what imaging is. It means, where do you perceive an audio cue in the room? And obviously that shit is not a binary value, that is a range. That means it can range from, in quotes, very poor, but most people would describe as the free blob or something like that, to decent with somewhat a good feeling stage, to even great with a big stage and a very good instrument placement. But that brings me now to the next topic. What does stage and staging actually mean? This is where the music actually is. Staging and stage is a subsection of imaging, and to make it short, stage is basically the overall thing where music is happening, and staging means where music on this thing is happening. Sounds complicated, I know, but let's just go back to this example here. So now in the simple graph I showed you before, let me just draw in, let's say, a line. This is the stage width that we see here and the stage height. So that would be overall the stage, because it has a defined width and a defined height. But staging, on the other hand, means where in this stage are things actually happening. This is different. Stage refers to the size basically overall, while staging refers to the placement of audio cues in the stage. So again, let me now, I think I just draw a circle here, which of course in 3D would be a ball, but for easier reference, it just be a circle in this graphic. And let's assume something happens, for instance, at the front of your ears. That's fine, right? Probably difficult for some transducers, for others not so much. But then the next one actually happens more on top. That's also fine. Some can do that, others can't. And difficult would be something like on top and the front. This actually is pretty damn difficult, and most transducers would struggle to give you a real representation of that. But that's the gist of stage and staging. The other important factor, or what you need to consider when we talk about imaging, is layering. It's just like a goddamn good layer of cake. That means basically is just that we talk imaging in the, here I think I will just name it X, Y direction, from basically the height of your ears to directly between both of your ears, but also far to the outside. And that means basically the feeling here, layering means, of how instruments are moving in this XY direction on a line. And reason why we usually use a separate term for layering and not just say it's staging is because IMs in particular, mostly if you go up a bit on the price bracket, have a really good layering, like really with a nice smooth representation of sound cues that happen really between your ears, when on the height of your ears and outside, and like you can distinguish most of the time like 5 to 7 good layers, like really where you say, oh, it happened here, oh, it happens a bit more left and a bit more right. But most of the bigger headphones that you literally put over your ear, those will struggle with layering a bit. And that's why audiophiles have, or audio enthusiasts have invented this term layering. But in my experience, it's actually exactly true. Yeah, IMs do definitively stage and image differently, and it grants the term layering because it just is generally perceived differently here. The last important thing that we talk about before we come to the related vocabulary and aspects: expect different opinions. Staging and imaging and layering, these are very subjective. Some people might hear an IEM of layering really good, while others won't. That really depends on your personal ear canal. It depends on the insertion depth. It depends on what transducers you are using. It depends on a lot of factors. So my recommendation here in this case is read more than just one review. Watch more than just one review. Try to find trends in the reviews you are watching or reading. That means, as really simple example here, and I take two extremes in the spectrum. Take the HD 600. That shit is free blob, small stage, imaging, kinda okay. And on the opposite side, we have the HD 800S, with probably the biggest stage of most headphones out there, and a really pinpoint imaging in there. So, just try to find trends for different opinions, because these two examples generally are very well received for exactly, yeah, HD 600, very good timbre overall, nice vocals, and then HD 800, big ass stage with good imaging. So try to find trends in the reviews. And now, as last factor, again, we talk about related aspects and vocabulary that is related to the thing. And yeah, for imaging, as we have already had before, related are staging and layering, as discussed before, exactly subsections subsections of the imaging aspect. But then also related here are details and detail retrieval. Reason similar to dynamics here for the latter two is, details and detail retrieval can also contain spatial cues, so where stuff actually happens in the room. Some folks consider, as I said, imaging as part of the details, some don't, so I would just give it to you here. Related are details and detail retrieval. And that's it. Hope that was understandable, and yeah, if you have questions, if you have criticism, if you have recommendations, please leave a comment. And with this, non-spector.